Amazon resellers that feels illegal to me. It's a wholesale platform with a huge catalog for you to source more than 10,000 brands. And
it is a huge strain.
Okay, bear with me a second. Hopefully we are going to do something a little bit different, and hopefully I haven't got two mics on, which I don't think I have. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are enjoying the content, hopefully, that I'm putting out there. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I've got to refilm another video. But the thing is, today we're going to film Good Morning Britain, talking about carers. And hi, as a at-home carer, hopefully I'm going to let my opinions be known and how the government can in fact fix this as someone who has worked in care.
On the marriage, and quite often they split up.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing she said
So
to
what,
me,
they said that as though you were going to be getting funds from your husband and you should be grateful?
yes, and the second thing they said to me was that, oh, let's hope your son will outgrow his difficulties.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do about carers and for carers in this country? Because MPs are calling for a full-scale review of the carers allowance and an end to the benefit rules that have resulted in tens of thousands of unpaid carers actually being fined huge sums for really minor technical infringements.
Yeah, I'm one of them. Hi, I'm an unpaid carer. Roughly, I've been looking after my gran, aka family member, for 6 years. I've been unpaid, and just this year when my gran came back to live with us, I got carers entitlement from Universal Credit. And because you are only allowed one paid carer when my gran requires two, the money that I got for 3 months, just 3 months, I had to pay. I'm still paying every single penny back. I got fined and was told that I wasn't entitled to it in the first place. And this is why we have so many unpaid carers in this world, including as someone who has worked in care. Carers don't get paid a lot of money. In fact, roughly, the companies themselves tend to keep most of the money. Bet you didn't know that. And they treat members of staff like shit. Sorry for the swearing, sorry, but the thing is, it's true. And it's one of the lowest paid jobs out there. And I do remember, I think it was Suzanne something, she was on with Piers Morgan. Susanna Reid, I think her name is, roughly. She was talking to, I think it was Joe Biden, roughly, about raising carers allowance by £1. Believe it or not, carers are struggling 24/7. And what they don't talk about as well is when you are working in care, is the fact that you are threatened with your job if you don't want to do that one extra call, but yet you are tired. Sometimes you can be finishing at midnight. They don't care, just as long as that job gets done.
Of earnings limits.
So, one of these carers is Elizabeth Tate, who looks after her 20-year-old son, Oliver, who has Down syndrome. And she had to pay back the government £1,623 after taking on extra supply teaching shifts to help with her family's finances. So, we're going to check.
And this is because, roughly, we're all in a situation where the government has screwed up so many times by spending money like on the HS2 and stuff. But the thing is, how about instead of cutting our benefits, we actually look into your banks, we look into the fact that you're not announcing your taxes and dodging them. What else? Let's see. Oh, not declaring second homes, and also causing fraud. Try treating the real criminals in the House of Parliament instead of treating the public. Yeah, there are people in the public that are ready to go back to work, but I'm one of them that is being forced to look for work when I am providing over 35 hours. It's not 35 hours like the government makes it out to be. It's over. What you're essentially doing is a full-time job. They don't tell you this.
Back to her in just a moment, but first here's Kira Durkin with the story.
Elizabeth is a carer for her 20-year-old son Oliver, who has complex needs and Down's syndrome. For many years, she also cared for her late husband David until he passed away from cancer in 2018. Now,
I'm so sorry for that. Obviously, dealing with loss, it's not easy. And then to do this is the thing where sometimes you don't choose a career, it chooses you. And I don't know what this woman was doing before she became a carer. But the thing is, literally, it can happen. Your life can change just like that. You could be on your feet and then no longer on your feet. Life is hard enough as it is, but the government's adding more onto it to make people's lives even more difficult. It's like they've raised the wages, but then they've raised the bills up again. So basically, instead of it being like this for wages and bills and stuff, it's literally now like this. And the problem is a lot of care companies haven't boosted it up, and people are struggling.
a single mum, Elizabeth is one of thousands of carers who ended up in debt. As she said, she unintentionally received overpayments of the carer's allowance by taking on extra teaching shifts.
It was just so hard. I had to earn money to help our family, and to be hit with that bill was just,
Well, in one sense, it's kind of like a slap in the face, isn't it? Roughly, the fact roughly is one of the lowest paid benefits out there, and then roughly having to work on top, because I've done it myself. I have literally worked in community care. I've paid my taxes, and then family situations happened and my life changed. And I can see where this woman's coming through, roughly trying to find additional support, but guess what? There isn't additional support out there, and there should be.
awful.
A carer's allowance is £81.90 a week. You're eligible if you...
And it used to be £69, so it has gone up, but it's not enough, roughly because of the rise of the bills.
care for someone at least 35 hours a week.
See, that's the typical stay. Roughly, it says at least 35 hours. Roughly, they don't stay roughly over 35 hours a week, and this is a week. They're on about over 35 hours a week or per day. It's one or the other. But the thing is, it says at least. Now, it should be up to 35 hours a day or fair.
A week. You are allowed to work while...
Yeah, it said weekly. So in other words, you're only doing 35 hours a kit. It's not. It's a 24-hour job, and it's 30. You literally always on the clock. And that's the difference between a community carer and a home carer. With a community care worker, roughly, you basically do your jobs at the end of the day. Roughly, you care for the people, you do medication, personal care and stuff, and then your day ends. Whereas in a home carer, your day never ends. Sometimes you can be woken up at like 1, 2, 3 in the morning, roughly someone screaming in pain.
Or claiming carer's allowance, but weekly earnings should not exceed £151. If your earnings go over that limit by even £1, you lose your entitlement to the allowance.
There is no compassion, and I think that is where the issue is. It is just, you owe this money, you must pay this back. There is no consideration of your circumstances.
Yeah, the government's lost a lot of compassion for carers, but yeah, and then during COVID, they were clapping for the NHS. I'm going to hold my hat up. I didn't clap because, for one, as in as a community care worker, roughly, we didn't need people clapping for us. What we needed was care and compassion, and we also needed roughly for our wages to be as equal as anybody else's, and they wasn't. And the government keep putting out there like saying, oh, we're going to improve the carers allowance, we're going to improve the wages for carers and stuff. We appreciate carers now. No, you don't, because you don't look into the nitty-gritty, and you don't get a proper carer's view. This woman is a proper carer, but I'm on about community care, at home care. Get different kinds of views of what it's like. It's not easy. It is not an easy job. I have had people tell me roughly that, oh, retail is one of the hardest working jobs. No, mate. Over 14 years of experience, I'm telling you right now, it is one of the hardest jobs out. Carers, being a carer is one of the hardest jobs. You work in care and then see if you come back with a smile because you are being treated like crap. The times that you have to get to a client, start off at about 40 minutes for walkers, then they downgrade it to 10 minutes to get to the next bus to basically say like a completely different area. No compassion. And then literally what they will do roughly is tell you that, oh, if you work this bank holiday, you will get the bank holiday pay. You never do. Let me think as well, roughly. The money hasn't gone up for carers. Roughly, it's still a shit wage. Sorry, I got an itch. Companies will threaten you with your job if you refuse to do a call, roughly, or even if you speak up against a family member who is in that company, roughly, of the directors or whoever they are, supervisors and that. You speak up against them, you lose your job. It's happened to me, and it's happened to quite a few carers, and it should be stopped.
The Department for Work and Pension says they have increased carers' allowance by almost £1,500 since 2010, and that safeguards are in place for managing.
2010, no, they didn't. It took them years and years, and the proof is out there. Go check out this morning with Susanna Reeves, where she's talking about roughly that the government raised carers allowance by, I think it was £1 something or £1, I can't remember, but then they raised every other benefit sky high. Check that out.
Repayments. But for Elizabeth and many other carers in her position, they feel they are not being heard, and it's a constant fight with a system that should be protecting them.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Roughly, the system is completely, it's gone haywire. Roughly, as someone right here who is a full-time carer, my day doesn't end, and I have to deal with tantrums. Oh God, roughly, I have to do personal care. I don't do medication now. We do have additional help. Carers 3 times a day, but we have to deal with the aftermath of them coming. We have to deal with physiotherapy, basically trying to motivate somebody that doesn't want to be motivated. We have to deal with district nurses, doctors and stuff, people invading our space 24/7. This is what they don't show, is the side of this. Doctors, district nurses, you've got people from the Tricia ward, from the hospital, which deal in a rig, aka a peg feed, because that's what my grand's got. But the thing is, roughly, the system is broken and the government broke it, and a lot of people just don't care about roughly the government no more, and they've brought it on themselves because they've trapped people like criminals, and they've trapped the people that are treating the sick like myself and this woman right here like crap. We've been treated like criminals. Roughly, you pay every penny back, and then literally we're struggling to pay our bills, and then literally we're getting in debt. Yeah, I'm one of them.
You said it in a single succinct sentence in that remarkable documentary about you and Derek and your family that went out a few weeks ago. You said,
Oh, I'm also going to mention this. There's another video where I can't remember. I think it was one of the TV presenters on Good Morning Britain. He was talking about how roughly that he entered a care home, and the care home roughly had 5 stars, roughly, and they proper accommodated him. Yeah, they would, because you are a TV presenter. They know how to manipulate the system. They know how to make themselves look good, roughly, and they know roughly in the time that they're waiting for you to be interviewing them, they can give up a false pretense, roughly, and show you what they want to show you. They don't show you, roughly, that they are understaffed, that they are not paying their carers right, and then you've got roughly people being mistreated due to the fact there's not enough carers being paid and there's not enough carers being employed. Because the problem is job centres are forcing people to look for work, and the government, and what is the most easiest job to go into? Care. And when you go in care, roughly, and you hate your job, you get people that are not natural born carers, like me and quite a few other people, unlike this woman on TV. You get people that are causing abuse and making bad reputations for actual carers and making us look really bad.
that the system, you think, until you get there, is meant to be there to catch you. And then you discover it actually is there to catch you out. And that's just how you felt. We'll come to you in a second, because Elizabeth joins us along with Johnny Timpson, who's a former government dementia advisor. He's also a man of principle, because he quit last week in protest over the treatment of disabled people and their carers. There's always a straw that breaks the camel's back.
Good for him for taking a stand. It's about time people started making a stand and let it be known, roughly, that the government can't treat people like this, roughly. Disabilities are a real thing, carers are a real thing, and the thing is, it's not the government or people in like retail and stuff that are looking out for the sick. It's people like this woman and myself and others who are doing the real, like the real work, that are caring for the sick, caring for the elderly, and that art. And this is what it's like. We are being treated very poorly.
Back in these situations, what was it with you? What was it when you thought, you know what, the heck with this?
Well,
I'm going.
They promised to fix this overclaim issue in 2019, Richard.
Told ya, roughly, they promised to fix it, but they didn't, and we're in 2025, and it's still not done. But yeah, roughly, the government will clap, give praise, but yeah, they won't do anything. And it's not people like them that are doing the real work. It's people like us that are caring for the sick and basically the elderly, which basically helping people out. And can I just say thank you to this guy for basically taking a stand.
It's been a growing issue since that point. And we have a system where the person receiving the benefit has to tell the DWP, I mean, you're overpaying me. The DWP don't necessarily actually action that. For months and years, you find yourself in a situation where you have to pay back thousands. You know.
Yep. Exactly the same thing with me. To be told that you're not entitled to something when you are entitled, and you have to pay every penny back, roughly, is a basically slap in the face. And thank you for this guy putting it out there, roughly, and saying that this is wrong, because I've had to pay back a lot of money, and it's wrong. I provide over 35 hours of care. It never ends, roughly. It is so freaking hard. Nobody tells you this, but I'm going to tell you freely. It is more easier to look after a stranger than a family member. That's free advice, as someone who has worked in care and is an at-home carer.
How complex it is being a carer. You've got a lot going on in your life. This is a very conditional, complicated benefit. introduced in 1976 and hasn't changed. But life has changed since then.
What I've learned.
Yeah, people's lives have changed. Hopefully, you've got more sick people in the world, and it's people like us that are basically being dismissed for it and have our jobs threatened and our lifestyles threatened with paying back money.
Learned in the sort of in my time since I've been involved in this, sadly not anymore, but being a carer, is that that it all sounds like a thick muddle to anyone who hasn't been in care, hasn't been in.
Yep, and I've always said this, roughly, you have to be in care to understand what it's like. Roughly, people on the outside say that it's an easy job. It's not. I'm going to use community care as an example. You are always on the run. Roughly, you have about 10 minutes to get to your next call, which could be like 2 bus rides away. Then you've got your bosses literally ringing you up 24/7, roughly saying why are you late and that, literally, and they know you're a walker. They accommodate more for car drivers, but yet they treat people like dirt, roughly, and if you don't do what they want you to do, they cut your hours down. Happened to me. I had my hours cut down from 40 to 2 hours and then none, and I basically told them to stick the job up their ass, and I had every right to do that, and I told them exactly what I thought of them. How about the government make, instead of a zero contract for carers, they make it a permanent contract, so your hours cannot be messed with.
A carer or hasn't been in that position. What are they talking about? Well, they shouldn't have claimed so much. But when you're in it, the detail is overwhelming. And so we're talking, just get to the nub of it, about around £86 a week for you to care for your son, which you have no choice about. There's nobody, coming to help. That is what you do out of love, and because.
Yeah, roughly, it is out of love. Roughly, a lot of home carers roughly do stuff because they have to. The same situation happened with my gran. Roughly, me and my mum do what we do, even though it's one of the hardest jobs out there. Roughly, because you have to deal with tantrums, you have to deal with loads of people invading your space. Then what happens is, because all them people are coming in your house, you have family as well, roughly, and they're sticking their nose in. You are getting constantly basically talked at and saying you need to be doing more, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that, roughly, when you're doing all the work. It's never good enough. But yeah, roughly, it should be put out there. It should be talked about, roughly, how difficult it is. It's not an easy job. And like I said, I've talked to people that were in retail, and there was a girl that told me that she wanted to be a carer. I told her, I said, you won't last. She says, how would you know? I says, over 14 years of experience. I says, I can tell somebody that will last and somebody that won't. And she would not last 5 minutes. She'd literally quit that job in minutes because she thinks it's all great. It's not all great. I've had people that says roughly they've wanted to be nurses, and them working in care put a stop to that. And you know what it is? It's the government and the managers, the directors, the people that are running the company, not the carers themselves, not always. It's the people that are running the companies that are ruining it. And this is why a lot more good carers quit.
You want to, it's your responsibility. But then, of course, £86 a week doesn't go very far, does it? So you're having to work alongside that. And then.
Yeah, I have as well. I've had to do that in the past. I've had to work alongside, and you know what? It does not pay to work. Roughly, the problem is because the government has literally pushed everything up, wages, literally bills even higher, roughly. But then they're trying to force people into work. You can't force people into work when roughly it's not matching up.
There's a sort of what feels like an arbitrary amount before you lose that benefit. So when.
Can I just say, what a beautiful family.
Did you realise that you'd done too much paid work which was then affecting what the support you got for.
And she wouldn't have to do too much paid work if the government took care of the people that take care of the sick, because they're not going to be doing it. It's going to be people like this woman, me, and others. Hopefully, why not make it easier for people to have to live this lifestyle, not by choice? Sometimes you just have to do it. Like I've said, sometimes you do not choose a career, it chooses you. I've always wanted to be a hairdresser. That didn't happen.
Your unpaid work.
Well, I sort of realised when I got the letter through the post, and I owed £1,623.
Which is a huge
it
amount of money.
is.
Some people might say, well, gosh, just pay it back.
Yeah.
But when you're
It's not as easy as you think paying that stuff back. They take huge amounts out.
living on £86 a week, you're never going to get that, are you? Yeah.
And the thing with carers allowances, the system already knows that you're a carer because you can't claim it unless the person you are caring for is on certain disability benefits.
Right. So it's all...
Yeah, that's like PIP and stuff, roughly, whereas if you do have disabilities, roughly, your chances of getting on that are very slim. And there are a lot of unpaid people in this world, and there are a lot of unpaid carers.
There, it's all legal. They know you're a carer. Okay. So were you trying to defraud the system?
No. It was a genuine mistake because I was, at the time, my husband, who has sadly now passed away, he became unwell because he was a kidney transplant patient. And in our family, it was decided my husband would work and I would care. Because we were struggling to navigate a caring system. And then what happened?
Yeah, it's not exactly easy to put that kind of thing in place because the system is extremely slow. Medical equipment, you think it'd be easy getting all this kind of stuff. It is one of the most struggling thing to deal with. Sorry, this is going to be a long video and a long rant. But the thing is, literally, my grand's equipment took absolutely ages to come. And then we had to fight for bed rails, something so simple for safety and security for us as a family and for my gran, roughly. And I don't know if this woman's had any medical equipment. She would have had a hospital bed. I don't know if she's got if he had an airflow mattress and stuff. I don't know this kind of thing, but as someone that has all this medical equipment, including a hoist, I've also used a rotunda and a stand aid. Roughly, I've used all that kind of thing on my gran and on clients, aka service users. The system is extremely slow. We are still waiting on a wheelchair to help get my gran to day centres, and at the moment she's stuck in the house 24/7, which means we're stuck in the house 24/7, which causes tension. And then literally, what does it cause when you have tension? You end up going at each other, and it's the system is slow.
What happened was he became unwell, so I decided to do some extra work as a supply teacher, working ad hocly. I was so busy caring, fighting the system. Sometimes I'd be up all night. I hadn't had any sleep.
Yep, and this is how it is. Thank you, my love, for putting this information. Sometimes it's so hard. Sometimes you do not get sleep. Believe it or not, I've had occasions, and my mum's had occasions, where it's been too much and we have to keep changing stuff. Roughly, we have to go upstairs now and then, roughly, to basically have our own personal space. And then, roughly, believe it or not, my gran has been throwing a tantrum for the last day, all because we wouldn't stay downstairs. The problem is, what people don't see is when you're caring 24/7, you are waiting hand and foot. And then when you have families come round, you are waiting hand and foot. So it's constant making teas, sandwiches, literally you doing all that kind of thing. By the end of the day, you are so knackered.
Sleep. It's so precious. With up to 100% leak-free nights, dry nights are clinically proven for a better night's sleep.
Sorry about this.
Focused and ready for their day at school.
Kids got the easier.
They'll wake up awesome. Click to get your free sample.
And it was the last thing on my mind to keep checking.
I mean, just those two sentences, husband.
Right, I'm just going to say this. The fact that she says roughly her life was too busy to keep checking, mine is exactly the same. Roughly, we can't keep a track of these kind of things 24/7. We are far too busy. So,
You know, as a transplant, and I was caring for my son and I was trying to work teaching. You don't almost, it feels like you need to say any more about how busy and overwhelmed she was. So why does this problem still keep happening, and what do you think could be done to solve it?
Well, unpaid carers like Elizabeth and many out there save the taxpayer £163 billion a year. 163. Now, we know.
and it's true, roughly, you do save a lot of money, believe it or not. Roughly, my family saved money due to the fact my gran hasn't gone in a care home. She did go in a care home, but then accidents happened and she came back to live with us. I'm not going into detail, but thing is, we've saved the government a lot of money by going out there, roughly putting ourselves out there, being natural born carers. I come from a family of natural born carers. There's a lot of us. We don't just do it for the money, we do it for the clients as well. But thing is, it's so hard.
Social care is in crisis. The government only spends 29 billion in social care. So these are colleagues, friends, saving the taxpayer a fortune. How do we fix it? Well, let's fix this immediate issue of an amnesty on overpayments. Let's reform and simplify carers' benefit. Let's have a national strategy for carers. Let's change the disability confidence scheme and make it a disability and carer covenant scheme.
What enrages me?
And how about, roughly, instead of paying one carer, roughly, if the person requires 2 carers, you do that as well. Roughly, put that out there, roughly, as well. The fact that it should be, if the person you are looking after requires 2 people to look after him, you both should be paid for work in one sense, because it is a job. Roughly, I have been doing over 35 hours of care for 6 years, unpaid, and I'm struggling to pay my bills.
How would that work? Sorry.
No, you carry on.
And I just want to say, it's not bragging, this is real life.
How would that work? A national strategy, big tick, everyone could see that would work, that would help local authorities and it would help the NHS, it would help everybody. What do you mean by disability and carers covenant?
Well, what I mean by that is carers don't have a voice.
And how about having the handover from when patients leave the hospital be more smoother, roughly, because not a lot of information is sent, roughly, when you receive the person. Even in a care home, you do not get all the information. You have to wait quite a bit of time, roughly, for all this information, because the NHS is being overrun with people every day. Accidents, roughly, people being really sick, and that will let you fix that system before you fix the carers, and then the system will start running more smoothly.
Disabled people don't have much of a voice. It's hard getting employment and getting the right employment if you're disabled, and pretty tricky if you're a carer as well.
Yeah.
We also need the carer.
Yeah, roughly, it is. I won't say it was like tricky, but the thing is, it is tricky because, for one, you're trying to do the right thing in society, and then you are being pushed back, roughly, and saying, no, you are just a normal person. I'm having this 24/7. I'm being treated like a normal person. I'm not a normal person. Hi, I'm a carer.
And carers allowance reform so that people can work without having to continually worry about reclaim. We have 6 million people who are carers in the UK. Only 1.5 million actually claim this benefit. Many don't claim it because they're scared of this reclaim situation.
Well, what I was going to say there to you was, listening to your story and what you were saying to Kate, is what really enrages me, actually, on your behalf, is not so much, although it's very important, the fact that you were suddenly
At Vodafone, get iPhone 16 Pro Max. It's built for Apple Intelligence, now available from £43.50.
presented with this virtually unpayable bill, which was through no intent on your. But
Yeah, but then they blame you for it, saying roughly that you should have never had it in the first place and that it's all your fault. No, roughly this woman should have been paid. A lot of us should be paid for roughly the work we do. We can't continue basically doing stuff unpaid and then living in fear roughly because, for one, of making repayments due to the fact the government is screwing up.
the tone with which you were dealt with. There's you doing your level best to keep your life going, keep your world turning. Yeah?
As support to other people.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole package. You're exhausted. You're not sleeping at night, and they talk to you as if you were a fraud. Didn't
Yes.
Yep, and this is the way the government is. Literally, you are treated like you are a criminal. Whereas you are trying to do the best you are doing in life. You are saving the government thousands. But yeah, roughly, when you ask for a little bit of help, roughly a little bit of money for being, saying like, unpaid like this woman has, roughly, then literally they slap you on the wrist, cut everything off, and toss you to the side. But guess what, roughly, they bet hope what they don't realise is when they are older, these people that are causing this problem, the government, when they are older, it's people like this woman, me and others that take care of those people. They better hope and pray that in life they do not get a really bad carer that will mistreat them. You want natural born people that are willing to put in the effort and are willing to take the time to talk to people and talk about experience, because that's what I did. When I was working, I talked about my experience as being an at-home carer and working in community. I could relate to a lot of families, and that's why I have really good communications with people. It's because of working in care.
Their tone was really aggressive.
It was what they said to me when I went to tribunal.
What did they say?
Firstly, the judge said that at least my husband and I were still together, and when you are caring for a young person with disabilities, it is a huge strain on the marriage, and quite often they split up. Second thing,
I can't imagine that, but thing is, it's so true. It causes tension when you are caring for people, and this is how it is on a daily basis. You clash.
he said
So
to
what
me,
they said that as though you were going to be getting funds from your husband and you should be grateful.
yes, and the second thing they said to me was that, oh, let's hope your son will outgrow his difficulties.
No, her son's not going to outgrow that. That is his lifelong disability. That is just an insult.
What? That's such.
Do they really think that is a quick 1-2 step? Wave a magic wand and people's automatically going to be ill. Believe it or not, me and a lot of people would wish if we had a magic wand, nobody would be sick.
Yes,
So there's a fundamental lack of understanding of any
there is.
situation.
Yeah.
And as I said, I didn't choose to be a carer. It's a situation I am now in.
Yep, and I've said it before, sometimes you don't choose a career. It happens all on its own. Hopefully you can be fine 1 minute and then done. Hopefully your life changes within 24 hours.
I'm now on no benefits. So I am not on carers allowance. I am not on universal credit. If you're on universal credit and carers allowance, that money's taken off the universal credit. If you're
Yeah, I've had people tell me that roughly that the money gets taken off the universal credit, so it's not even worth it to claim it, and instead of having the money on top, roughly they take it out of your benefits, so you are on even lower money.
a pensioner, I don't think you can get you can't claim carers allowance. So you're navigating the system, and I am so terrified now. I am not allowed carers allowance. I've had 2 letters from the DWP, one saying that it's because I'm not doing 33 hours care, which is...
She is, roughly, and this is the thing, roughly, is the government will lie because they've screwed up so many times, and you know what, roughly, we're the ones suffering and everybody else in the world is suffering, and it's not 35 hours, it's a 24-hour system.
Rubbish. And the second time because I'm obviously earning, but I'm working for myself. It's the only way I can work. But I'm also caring.
At the same time.
And I am swamped with paperwork.
Yeah.
I am swamped with appointments.
There you go. Hopefully you're swamped with appointment. You have loads of people to deal with, and not try getting your head around all this, and then saying at the end of it, I'm fine.
We have an adult social care system which is in crisis. We have, obviously, health is in crisis, so getting appointments is tricky.
Yeah, believe it or not, the amount of times that we've had to argue with doctors, hopefully I've even gone down and been told there's no appointments and there's nobody even in the GP surgery.
So it is a huge problem, and I just want to talk and share about it and see if we can find a way. I am not just a single carer. There is a whole army of carers out there, all with different stories, all passionate, but all about love. My life is not tragic. My life is full of love. And I care because I love my son. I walk in his shadow, and I walked in my husband's shadow, and I would do anything to help them.
You are an absolute inspiration, and I think part of the problem, as you say, is because carers are doing a lot of their work in bedrooms, in homes, they haven't got that big voice.
No.
They haven't got.
Yeah, this is why people more carers need to be speaking up, and I've done it again, I've accidentally hit the volume. But the thing is, actually, more people need to be speaking up about it, because, believe it or not, hopefully my gran sleeps in the living room. We don't have a spare bedroom, we can't get her upstairs. If we got her upstairs, and I've seen it myself, I've seen it where people have put family members in a bedroom and they are just left there. They don't really interact with them, and they are long forgotten sometimes. And this is the thing with the care system, it's broken because people are not being paid enough, people are overworked, people are tired, roughly. There's so much that goes into it, roughly. And then you've got a government that are basically saying, we do care, but you don't.
That big voice, and it has to change, because we're not a functioning society without carers doing, what they do.
Well, the other thing that needs to change, Kate, is that the DUP have a vulnerable customer policy that requires the beneficiary, Elizabeth, to hold her hand up and say, you've overpaid me.
How do you ever know?
Well, let me
It's
contrast that
chaos.
with what regulators and other sectors require, like financial services and utilities. The government departments sponsor those regulators. They're required to use their data, identify people that are vulnerable, and intervene. Intervene quickly, nip things in the bud.
Right.
The DWP, we're taxpayers, we should expect the DWP to set the gold standard for vulnerable customer support, not be trailing the financial services sector.
All right, well, look,
And that's something that could be done relatively straightforwardly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's just sharing best practice.
well, that's all we have time for, but I think you exemplify the problem.
Yeah.
You can hear the frustration in Kate's voice because she's been a carer, and you can feel roughly the pain that she's feeling.
Exemplify.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming in. We'll give our best wishes to your boy.
I would just like to thank all the charities, because they are the ones that are supporting me and other carers.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Can I thank you for giving carers a voice? Thank you very much.
Crucial we hear you.
Absolutely.
Crucial we hear you.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you
Thank you.
very
Thank you
much.
for your time.
Right, that is going to be that for this video, because it is about 43 minutes long. Sorry it's a long conversation, but the thing is, I want your guys' view on it. Roughly, what do you guys think the government needs to do, or do you think I've said it all? Bye.